It seems that this is the age of the culinary mystique. Everything is getting more and more precious in the way it's described and treated. I've had a lot of people ask me about pie crust, and I'm going to make just my plain ordinary pie crust. And if you want something fancier, go for it. But this is always very flaky and everybody loves it, and so that's what I'm going to do. I have a cup of flour. They say to sift it. I don't sift it. I just fluff it up and measure it. 1 cup, and put it there. Then I use shortening. I'm using vegetable shortening. Some people use butter. Some people use a combination of butter and shortening. Many people think that the best pastry is made with lard. My mother used shortening. Her mother used shortening. Her mother used shortening. That's my great-grandmother Lathrop. And I'm using shortening, and my grandmother's broken pastry cutter works fine. So I work that until it's uniform pieces, sort of gravelly. Making pastry is not like making bread. If you know my prize-winning videos, The Magic of Making Bread, I can't believe something like 40,000 people are still looking at that video. I mean, I did it just like this, no big deal. It's not a big deal. With The Magic of Making Bread, you have a sensual, philosophic, spiritual, heavy experience. You're in it. I was going to say you're in it up to your elbows, but it's not even your shoulders. You're in it. Your whole body, your back and everything. You're really working with it. This is the opposite. So now I have this sort of even textured. I'm going to add a scant 1/4 cup of water. You're not going to believe how easy this is. Of course the bread is easy too. It just takes time, or gets time. I got these. They're Chinese. I'm always seeing these in the Chinese market. Aren't they great? Because the cuffs of my blouses are always getting dirty. You just slip these on. Protects your cuffs. Okay, it's a scant 1/4 cup I'm dumping in. Now, here's where you have to sparkle. No throwing in the back. The second it starts to come together, I'm using a fork, just sort of tossing it. The second it starts to come together, then I gingerly, and I mean gingerly, you want to touch this as little as possible. Another thing some people say about the water is to use ice water. I'm kind of throwing it and squeezing it just as little as possible until I can get it into a ball. I'm not squeezing it. I'm not sinking my fingers into it. I'm just gently telling those bits, come on now. You want to stick to your neighbor, don't you? There you go. Just slightly make contact with the next crumb. The minute they're obliging me by doing that, I put it out here. I just barely get it into a ball, and then I'm going to pop it in the refrigerator for 20 minutes or so, and to chill it. The ice water would have been nice too, but it's not that hot here today. If you're in a hot climate, then you would, ice water would be a good idea. Okay, I just took it out. So we want to touch it as little as possible. I'm going to put a little flour here. Put a little flour on my rolling pin because I have to roll out the crust for my tart.
Okay.
I'm not pressing down with this rolling pin. I'm simply encouraging it to spread out. I keep turning it over lightly and making sure that there's enough flour underneath it so that, see, my movement is quick and light. I'm not bearing down. To ease it off. The secret is, rather than try to lift the whole thing up, just fold it over and then you can put it in and unfold it lightly, lightly, lightly. And making sure that it goes down to the bottom of the pan. So it's a little uneven, right? So I'm just going to take some of this extra and put it over here. Okay, now I go around and I'm going to flute the edge. I just do it between these fingers, right? You just make these squeeze. Then you get a little pretty little zigzag there. And it builds it up slightly in case you were putting in something that was going to be higher than the edge of the pan. Gives you a little rim on the top. Then I'm just going to go around and cut off the excess. Now, what I'm doing today is a rustic grape tart, a French tart from, I think it comes originally from Champagne in France. So the filling is grape, and it's 3 cups of grape. Oh, first I have to put in, because they get juicy, and so I put in a couple of tablespoons of breadcrumbs, or you could use cookie crumbs or cake crumbs, whatever you happen to have on hand in there. So they're going to absorb juice and keep the crust from getting too cloggy. This mixture is 3 cups of grapes, 1 cup of which I roughly chopped. And it's mixed with about 3 tablespoons of sugar and a tablespoon of lemon. It's a rustic tart. It ain't fancy. There's no creme anglaise in the bottom. There's no ground almonds sprinkled on the top. It's very French home country style. You can just throw it together lightly. And it's going to go into a hot oven. See, it's not built up. It's not beautiful and fancy. My kids love it though. For that very reason, I immediately set the temperature down to 350, and then it's going to bake about 45 minutes. It gets brown. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know if you make it. So if you're making it for students of Julia's, you probably need to follow a different recipe.